Welcome back to another episode of Rebuild the Construction Mindset podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jenna Hamilton, and today we have an exciting guest who embodies the passion and innovation driving our industry forward. Joining us today is Matt Archuletta, the Regional Director at the Beck Group. With a wealth of experience in construction and a deep commitment to design-build principles, Matt is here to share his insights and inspire us all. Before we dive into our conversation with Matt, I want to remind you to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We have incredible discussions lined up, and we'd love for you to be a part of our community. You can also find us on YouTube and connect with us on LinkedIn, where we engage with industry professionals and share valuable insights. Now let's get to the episode.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to participate. I'm even more excited about what you two are doing for the industry. I think it's really important to, one, that this is, not part of your day job. It's something that you're doing to, just get more out there for the industry. Just polite applause for you two. Thank you. My name's Matt Archuletta. I am the regional director for the Beck Group here in Denver. I grew up in Colorado. I'm a Colorado kid. I went to school at Colorado State. I graduated from college in 2005. I would say what drove me to get a degree in construction management was my uncle Greg. He graduated from the program in the 80s. He's much older than me. But I was interested in getting into some form of business out of school. Had an opportunity to go. I had a full ride scholarship to be a teacher, and I was like, man, that sounds great, but I didn't. I just kind of wanted to do something in business, and I was going an open option business to Colorado State, and my uncle called me and was like, hey, why don't you look at construction management? He's like, you get a great job out of a 4-year education. And I did it. And he was like the uncle that always bought me computers and like educational things, right? He bought me one of what's the name of the book? What's the Lord of the Rings books?
Okay.
When I was in, like, we had, like, in 5th grade, we had like a day you'd go to school and bring your book. Well, I brought this book, and the teacher was like, hey, you can't read this book. You're not at that reading level. And like took the book away from me. And I had told my uncle about it, and he called the principal and like lit the principal up about it. And he's that uncle for me, right? That guy is like a mentor for me growing up. But he was like, why don't you entertain this? And I went and did some research, and that was kind of it. I just kind of stuck with it. And, in college, I interned with Hensel Phelps, Holder Construction. I graduated college and moved to Phoenix for about 3 years and worked for Holder Construction. Came back and worked for Beck. And yeah, that gets kind of the history. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be building in the core for about 15 years now. Most of the work we do, I want to say all the work, but I'd be probably a little embellishing. Most of the work that we do is complex, either lot line to lot line, high-rise construction, hospital renovations, critical hospital renovations. We kind of jokingly say around here, if it's a challenge, call us. We don't look at greenfield sites. We don't do a ton of industrial work. I'm not suggesting industrial work is easy, but it is a complex high-rise construction, which is freaking awesome. Like there's something really special about being to create these special places. And one thing that's been like kind of more so for me than less is more so for me is just like these buildings that you create and what they provide to the community. We've done Poudre Valley Hospital, an example, is a project that we're getting ready to wrap up, and it's our largest hospital renovation we've ever done in this office, and we've been in Colorado since 1982. We did the labor and delivery section as one of the parts of the building that we did. They do this little ding, every time, this little cute little sound every time a baby is born, and we had hired people in Fort Collins that had their kids there, that they were born there, their parents were born there, and just these stories about this hospital and what it's been able to provide for that community is so special. But to be able to contribute to renovating that facility to live and survive another 100 years. It's just like something that people just can't take away from you. And then you look at the Populous Hotel that we're doing. It's the first carbon positive hotel in the United States. It's got 2 exterior skins on it. It's just this beautiful architectural piece of art that we've been able to put up in the sky. And what that's going to provide to the community is super special, right? It's so much different than what's typically done in our market. It is not market rate, right? It is above market rate. It's a passion project. But being able to, like, when you go to bed at night thinking about something and you wake up in the morning thinking about something, and it doesn't drive you to stress, but it drives you to persevere. Those things are just like really what gets me excited and kind of gets me and our staff out of bed in the morning. I mean, Jenna, we work with Tyler, your husband, and just the amount of hard work that I've seen him put in to this project. And it's like, when you take a step back from this, and there's been those moments that we've shared as a team, it's like when you take a step back from a project like that and you're like, holy shit, look what we created, look what we did.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for our industry, but it's just really special. It's really special that we're able to create stuff and build things. Yeah. So sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
No, it was great.
No, hold on one second. So you said you're much older than both of us. You graduated in 2005? Yeah, so did I.
Oh. Well, you're wearing it well. Tell you what, not me. I got all this gray hair going on. It's like,
I was like, I heard that, and I'm like, wait a minute. We're in the same realm over here.
You got me. We won't ask Jenna. Jenna will stay quiet on her age.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to know when I graduated college.
Oh, we got a little more, some higher level areas of experience, and then Jenna's coming in with that newer level. We got different points of view.
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
So, can you kind of dive into like what Beck's niche is? So, in terms of, I know you guys are a design build firm. Can you kind of explain what that is for our listeners that don't know?
Yeah, we're a design build, an integrated firm. About 12, 13 years ago, specifically here in Colorado, we made a commitment to bring on a design studio of 1. We've since grown that design studio to, at the highest peak, about 25 architects. In addition to that, we do general contracting work, so we've got about 60 salaried construction staff that work for us as well. Bread and butter, our differentiator, our secret sauce is design build. So, what's typically done is we engage, client comes to us and says, hey, I have a project site. It's X number of acres, X number of square feet. Can you go run through what we could potentially do on the site? We'll mass it up, and we'll give a budget with it, like day one. So like the client doesn't have to go, okay, I'm going to go to architect A and contractor B, get the massing done, go get a price. It's kind of a one-stop shop. What I like about it is what it allows us to do is provide significantly betterment to these buildings, meaning there's less of this start and stop as it relates to these value engineering processes, right? Like, we are constantly internally and externally held accountable to hitting and maintaining the client's budget. Like, full disclosure, if we're 3% up or 3% down, we didn't do a good job. And that's pretty rare for us to be that far off on these estimates, because our pre-construction group sits right next to our architectural team. Our operations team sits right next to our architectural team. And there's this like constant creative tension going on around, hey, laugh if I told you how many times I've heard, even just this week alone, of like, hey, pre-con, do you think if we did something like this, it would add cost? Well, if we added cost over here, we took something out over here, like, do you think that'd be kind of net? And we kind of jokingly say it's like what happens, all this stuff happens in the kitchen. We're cooking and, we're getting it all made, but like when we ultimately like serve the plate, it's this amazing meal that is at a reasonable cost, right? I think what design build allows us to do is minimize waste that we constantly see in the industry, and minimize that upfront cost for clients. And I think ultimately what we do is we deliver better products at the end of the day. There's not been a design build project that we've done in this market. I don't like awards personally, but there's not a design build project that we haven't done in this market that hasn't received some award. You look at 1401 Lawrence that we've done, you look at 1701 Platt that we've done. We've done some dual brand hotel at 15th and Stout, the project we're doing down at Bellevue Station right now. I mean, these are just like really attractive projects that, when you think, sometimes when you think about design build, it's kind of like, where are we hiding the money and this and that, but like, it's our secret sauce. The other thing to design build for us is, we take the change order risk off the table for our clients. So it allows them to kind of maintain their contingency that they would carry on their side to be used for other things. We've seen clients use it to embellish the lobby space on an office building before. We've seen clients use it to entice future tenants to come into their buildings for rent incentives for multifamily projects. Like, it's real dollars at the end of the day that don't get allocated to change orders, cost overruns, uh-ohs at the end of the day, because we really take this kit of parts, put it together, and say, this is your first cost is your last cost with us. And that's, is it riskier? Yes. Is it more rewarding? 100%. Like, it's just a better way to deliver commercial real estate.
What interested is the architects that are now a part of your team. What do they say about the difference from, I would assume most of them were working in that architectural firm separately and had been in a traditional sense on the traditional types of projects, not working with the general contractor or under the general contractor. What are they saying about the collaboration and the design process?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's very collaborative. I think I mentioned that before, but it's just this constant communication every day around what we're doing. I mean, we have our pre-construction team will be in the live updated model and verifying quantities and things as it moves along. One other thing we do that would be much different than a conventional, CA situation with an architect is on all integrated jobs, we'll have, depending on the size, but at a minimum, one full-time architect on a project at any given for the duration of the projects. Like, our CA is enhanced CA. We have an architect on the project full-time, because design never ends. There's always something that needs to happen with design through the duration, through the life cycle of the project. And, unfortunately, the way the industry currently works is, in a design bid build scenario, the CA portion of the work is maybe 5 to 10% of the total design fee at the end of the day. So it's so minimal, and there's, responding to RFIs, a lot of paperwork stuff. We minimize paperwork, we minimize RFIs, but we take this design to just this, call it LOD plus 500 level, right? Like, it is truly designing a kit of parts to help make our subcontracting trade partners more successful, both from production and just understanding what we really need to build at the end of the day. In addition to that, we also have, like, here at Beck, we have what's called an integrated project leader. What this person does is they are effectively the point of contact for the client, but they oversee the design and the construction piece. So it's kind of like this triangle: integrated project leader, design, construction, and report up, and then point of contact being the point of contact with the client. Those people range from architects to builders. In some cases, we even had pre-construction folks lead that as well. But is that person that's like the mediator, if you will, between the two? But we've become so good at it. That's probably the way I'm saying it. We become so efficient at it that the IPL is kind of more of just a client liaison as opposed to the quote unquote referee that it may kind of feel like on the surface. Yeah, I think I answered your question there. I'm trying to think if there's.
I would assume anything. If you went from 1 to 25 architects, they within the company, they must be enjoying their job. They must enjoy having that collaboration and being more successful in probably putting out a CD document that they feel more empowered, that it's really gone through all the things before we're going to go build it. And you guys have been working on it up to that point really heavily. So I would assume they enjoy it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have people continually coming to work for you, right?
Oh, it's a good, yes. And maybe take it a step further. They also get what they want because of this collaborative process. Like, for example, uh, our operations team will spend more time on figuring out how to provide betterment for, say, a structural system so that we can use those dollars to provide the aesthetic, the front facing things that really matter on a project. Like, I would say go look at some of the lobbies that we've designed and built in the past. And selfishly, I think they're some of the best lobbies that are in this market. And the reason for that is because we were really deliberate about finding how to reduce costs in areas that you have to have in a building, so we could give them to areas that people touch and feel and see every single day, whether it's you're walking through the lobby to go to your place of work, or whether you're walking through a lobby to go to where you live. And we want these places to be inviting and world class. And I think we do a really good job of that. I would also say on third party work, like for example, Populous. I said this in a presentation I did in the last week. I said, really the unsung heroes on Populous is Beck Architecture. We put architects on that project. We completed the design for the exterior skin and the interior side of that exterior wall. So like where you have those eyelids on the exterior, we coordinated and brought in the interior side of that wall to the exterior and completed that delegated design work. We, when you see that cool picture of the bench that ties into the interior side of that wall, the exterior side of that wall, our design team designed that. We put that together. We coordinated the fabrication of that. So I would also say, even on third-party work, we're constantly collaborating and trying to figure out ways to integrate our design folks to help our construction folks through coordination, completing a design, finishes, things like that. So in some ways, it's a risk mitigation strategy, but in a lot of ways, it should just be what the normal standard of care should be on any commercial real estate project.
I was going to say, I feel like the fact that you guys have integrated architects, even on traditional projects, that could help you like with the punch list and writing RFIs and doing, all of that, because you have the perspective of the designer, even if they're not necessarily on the project, but your operations team can run things by them in order to ask the correct questions and to,
it's a good comment. Yeah, it's a really, it's like thought provoking in a sense, because on Populous, we had 2 architects on site doing pre-punch. Like, when you think about that, like Beck General Contracting and the client hired Beck architects to come into a third-party job with a world-renowned architect and pre-punch the building ahead of final punch. And you would think, all right, well, like, who's watching the hen house here, right? Full disclosure, I think that team put a minimum of 8,000 pre-punch items on Procore for our team to go through, and client was really happy about that. It was our way of getting ahead of things before they became major issues. And honestly, it was our own internal QA QC check that we wanted to do on ourselves to ensure that we were providing a great product at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe Jenna did, maybe I did. It is multifaceted, right? Like how we integrate design with construction. Like it's constant. There's constantly like, can architects go help over here? Or hey, can our construction guys go help over here? It tends to be more architects working on construction projects and providing resources there as it is to construction people working on the upfront design piece, unless it's implementing kind of means and methods and things like that. And man, we just it's sometimes it's kind of hard to tell who's an architect and who's a builder in this office. And I think that's super special. Like we've got, I know who they are, but I would argue you go out there and it's like, what does that person do? What does this person do? And even like there's some cross-pollination around getting involved in the financial side of the you're an architect, but I want to understand a little bit of the construction side of the business and how it operates. And there's a lot of that cross training. I mean, we've hired architects from other firms to come join our construction group. We've hired construction folks that want to be design. So like when we're out recruiting, we're like it's challenging, but we're really looking for people. If you don't appreciate good design, there's not a place for you here.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't appreciate how hard it is to build things and good construction, there ain't a place to be a designer here. It's kind of like we hire for that at the bare minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think just the fact that you guys like have this like collaborated, like this project team that's made up of with an architect and your builders all on the same site, literally sitting next to each other. I mean, it just eliminates so much, like you're saying, paperwork and waste, but also like creates that relationship that every project needs between the design team and the contractor. And it's already organic. It's already there. So
Yeah.
that probably helps a lot. Do you guys, I guess in terms of what projects, like traditional projects versus design build projects, what percentage would you say you guys do of design build compared to your traditional?
Yeah, I would say if you looked at it kind of over I'll call it a 5-year run, I would say about 75% of our work is design build. The challenge that we have is design completes so much faster than construction does. Meaning, you could design a project. Now, permitting, kind of taking permitting as part of this, but you could really design, say, $100 million project, start to finish, in 12 months. It's going to take you 36 months, round numbers, in order to build a project like that, right? Or 26 to 30 months, we'll call it. So this process is a lot longer from a construction standpoint. So there is a lot of kind of faster churn on the design. So sometimes we'll look at design only projects. Sometimes we'll look at designing a project but bringing in a partner to build it and approaching it design build, still offering the same, like a wood frame project, for example. We don't typically build wood frame projects, but we would and have in the past brought on a design build partner that does do wood frame projects to then still give the same offering to our clients.
Okay.
I would love for 100% of our work to be design build.
Yeah.
I will say the public sector typically does not buy design build. So where you see us having to do design only and construction only, it is in the public sector work. However, what we're hearing now more than ever is, specific in the public sector, is that there's been so many cost overruns and so many of these, for lack of a better term, failed marriages, where you kind of, all right, here's the design team, here's the construction team, you guys collaborate together. And I think the public market is ripe for a transition into buying design build work up front, where the risks are a lot more minimal because of the fact that you're collaborating in real time.
Yeah. So when you said
Make
earlier,
sure that gets in there so the public sector hears that.
It definitely will.
Oh, now we got to cut that out. It's gone. Good thing I don't do the editing, Matt. That's just FYI. Jenna's on now.
Okay.
I'll do the editing. Don't worry. I'll listen all through it. So when you said earlier you were talking about RFIs, it kind of got me thinking. So what does the RFI process look like in an integrated project?
It's similar. I would say it's a lot less as far as quantity. I'm trying to think if this is even still a rule of thumb, but maybe say 100 RFIs per $10 million a project. We've effectively cut that in half, and that's probably still on the high side of what it truly is. You'll see a lot of our RFIs are just confirming RFIs in an effort to track things later from an as-built condition and just needing to. But significantly less. Submittal process is much smoother as well. Because we're working with the client in a lot of ways to really vet what we're doing, and then it's just a matter of like, yes, this is what I want. So it's more of a for record perspective. Some clients can get a little squirrely about that, right? Like, all right, well, how do I know I'm getting the best value because you're writing less RFIs and they're confirming RFIs? It's like, well, you know what we are doing? We're focusing on what's really important, is actually building this project and coordinating it, as opposed to getting kind of mired down in paperwork. So it is a little bit of a mind shift from what's traditionally done in the commercial real estate industry, but it's so much better when you can focus on the things that matter, i.e. getting roadblocks out of the way.
We were just interviewing someone else. He's a owner on the owner side, and he was saying $1,000 roughly per RFI cost wise, if you really think about it. So it's like when you come down to it, it's like, how do I know you're actually doing the job if I don't have many RFIs? It's like, well,
You're paying
that's
86
do you
grand.
want $1,000 per RFI? That's a lot of money for that to be, going through all the steps and everything. Or we solve it out in the field and with like guys with each other out there, and it's maybe it's only $100. It's not really an RFI, or it's a clarification and it turns into $100 RFI, right?
Yeah.
Because you're spending less time, less pushing through all that wasted time and calling or emails back and forth. I mean, there's so many reasons that just because it's not a formal RFI doesn't mean that you're wasting time and that you're not getting the same value when it's cheaper. I think that's another thing is like, well, you're not spending as much time on it. So how do I know, right?
Well, and even furthermore, like we're also coordinating it in the model. We're in it. We're coordinating it. I mean, it's just like when I say coordinating, I'm not talking about the conventional, mechanical, electrical, plumbing coordination. Like we are coordinating things to the nth degree, and there's a lot of critical areas. I mean, for example, one thing that's like this is kind of like construction nerd stuff. Like storm vaults on projects are always they're always overlooked. But they're always some tie to structural system. They're always in the basement of these buildings, and they're a significant part of coordinating the building. I mean, we had, on 1701 Platt, we had an issue where we were I'd say unfortunate, but I want to say fortunate. We were the fortunate ones to be the last person to build on that block. Well, of the 3 major developments that occurred on that block, all 3 contractors on their shoring system punched through this gigantic sewer line that was in the street. And they came to us and they were like, dude, we're done. This cannot happen again. We're going to be punitive about this. And we were like, great, like, let's figure this out. And we coordinated every single shoring tie to miss existing utilities in that street. Not only did it have the major sewer line, it had a 76-inch water line going through the middle of the street.
I feel like Denver project.
Just things like that, we just, we have to do. I mean, it's a little risk mitigation, but it's like, I think we're the best at it from a coordination standpoint, just because we know, because our designers think like builders and our builders think like designers. And that's really important.
How do you think that goes down to the guys in the field every day coming out on site and actually putting the product in place? Where do you think, when going from the front end with design all the way out to the guy with the hammer, with the screw gun, what do you think your work doing this design build process and having these architects in-house, how do you think that affects them?
Well, I will give you a real world example that happened to me in the last week and a half. We had a subcontractor come to us and say, hey, we'll give you a 5% cost reduction than any other contractor that could potentially look at this project. So you can go into this project. We're kind of looking to take some of the design piece on this job, and they said, well, and moving forward on any design build project that you guys are doing, we will hold this 5% reduction in cost for you guys because of how you coordinate the information that you design to and how you build. So we keep our subcontracting partners productive. I'm not saying all the time. Look, we have issues and there are problems that arise. But we have a lot of really good partners that will come to the table and say, if Beck's doing it and it's design build, yes, there'll be a cost reduction. What's funny is like, I hear all the time from clients, when's cost coming down? When's cost coming down? When's cost coming down? And I want to be like, man, if you hired us design build, we could take a couple % off the top right now because of our process. And it's like kind of like it's a little voodoo magic, right? Like you're kind of selling, and it's we kind of tend to just kind of keep that in house as it relates to those opportunities. But that's happening right now. Subs want to do business with us because we keep them productive, and it's we're really good managers in the field, 100%. But it's more than that. It's how engaged we get and how we just keep completing design and completing design and completing design, because design never does get completed until the building's done.
Right.
Say for getting quick RFI turnaround. I mean, that's really helping, the production consistently. If there's major issues coming up, that's the guys that aren't stopping and, oh, we need you to move halfway across the floor, or up 5 floors, or halfway across the, the site kind of thing. So I think that's a pretty critical thing. So not looking at just, oh, how does it help
We
in
ran
the
an
beginning?
analysis. This was in the last.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just say we ran an analysis in the last year about third-party jobs, design bid build jobs versus design build jobs, and how fast we were truly getting RFIs turned around, because you can now track it so well in Procore. 2-day average turnaround time on design build jobs for turnover. So information to the field happened within back to field happened within 48 hours. On third-party work, it varied between a week and a half to 3 weeks.
Wow,
that's a really good time study to do and have those stats. That's a big deal when it comes to keeping the production and keeping the guys working out in the field and keeping money flowing.
Totally. It's, another way to think about it too is just, let's take a $100 million project, for example. Kind of like the $1,000 RFI discussion that the developer had. Because, in addition to the $1,000 per RFI, on a $100 million job, just for the general contractor to operate that site. So just say hourly labor, salaried staff, and just kind of general equipment, cranes, things like that. It can vary anywhere between $15,000 to $30,000 a day, just to operate sites. Like if you really, and I'm just saying, that's just Beck's costs to operate the site, let alone now you've got subs, now you've got, all this cost. It's really paying a job. It's real dollars. So when you think about, but how do you quantify that from a dollars perspective? I don't know that it's definitely not extremely linear, but there is significant savings there associated with.
Yeah. I was gonna go on to another question here. So I know we kind of talked about like the collaboration and between the design team and the contractor, or I guess the contractor builder side, integrated projects. But how does it like affect your clients? Like how does that relationship work? Because I know you'd said you have that liaison, but does that do you see a better relationship with your clients on integrated projects versus more traditional?
Well, I can say this. We've always had a repeat client after we do a design build project. It is challenging in order to convince the client for the first time to buy design build services. And I think there's this, a couple of things that have happened in our industry, right? One, there are these forced design build marriages. Hey, I'm an architect, and I'm not a design build architect typically, unless my client asks me to, and then fine. And I'm a contractor. I don't typically do design build work unless my client wants me to. So therefore, we're gonna create a business relationship for one deal, for one project. Those have gone good in some cases, but when those go bad, they go really, really bad. And I think a lot of it's how you set it up, how you contract it, how you share in some of that risk. So that's kind of a little bit of the sentiment around design build in the marketplace. I think another sentiment is we make a lot of money, we hide money, that we're not, it's less open book. So we refute that by saying, hey, listen, here's everything. Like we will show you what's under the hood all the way to the bolt at the bottom. That's, so you got to create this environment of honesty and trust. That's pretty easy for us once we kind of at least start kind of moving forward and getting something going. But it is there's initial bump in the road as it relates to getting a client to buy services for the first time.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially because Kelly and I always say this, people don't like to change from what they know. And especially like people that have been in the industry for so long, they don't like to, they like to just stick with what they know, even if it, fails half the time. They just, doing the same thing. So
change management is extremely hard for people.
Not change order management, just change management.
Just change management. No, change management. Hey, man, I have been doing it this way this entire time. it's like as an employee, like when you hire somebody who's like, man, I got this great idea. Maybe imagine like, hired somebody who got this great idea, and it's like, okay, great, that's a great idea. But we kind of always, it is really difficult to get somebody to agree to change. I think I don't know. Maybe you don't want to have this in the podcast because I know we're talking generational stuff earlier, but I think our generation is becoming more susceptible to change. I think technology has been a big driver of that. Um, so I'm hopeful that this process, because I do truly believe that it does deliver better quality commercial real estate at the end of the day. I'm hopeful that we can kind of do this more, and as for our clients, really at the end of the day, because it is a better process.
Just speaking about that, I was in a meeting and we were talking about changing to a new notes technology system, and I had just started using the one that we had been using for a year. Right? It was like, what? It's OneNote, right? And it's like I wasn't using OneNote a year ago. I was like, nope, I'm good. I got my notebook. I use Trello. I've got my way, and now it's okay. Well, we're gonna actually try this new one, and we're gonna eventually start moving into that. And I was like, okay, well, I've purposely, and we've talked about it for a while, so it's not something I'm all of a sudden new, but we were slowly like starting to use it more. And I think it's like there's a part of me that's like, oh, man, I gotta learn another new thing. But at the same point, that is more consistent, like you said, with the technology. I mean, we have all the AI stuff that has just recently come out. It's like it's so consistent. The changing is happening so fast with technology that if you don't accept it and start taking advantage of it, I think eventually you will just be worked out of like your job, your position, whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't. That's just. I wouldn't even say just the construction industry, but I think it is a positive thing for the construction industry because, like you said, we're starting to get used to changing more often because of the technology.
I have this quote, and my wife really gives me a lot of crap because I like to use quotes. But it's a simple one, but it is the only thing in life that's constant is change.
Yep.
It's like it's very true, and you've got to be able to, and especially the line of the work that we do. I mean, every day is different. Mm-hmm. Every day there's a problem to solve. I really enjoy that about the work that we do, but it is that's pretty most call it workers in America to like have to kind of navigate through a change problem every day.
Yeah.
I think that at the same point, like I wouldn't say the challenges are that different from job site to job site. You pretty much start seeing consistency. So you're like, oh, I've seen something like this before. So it's not like a huge change. I think people get complacent with that. That it's like, well, I've done something like this. So I'll just deal with it like I dealt with that instead of looking for a new way to go about it. Also, is that we get complacent with, I just did this on that last job this exact way, so we'll just do it that way. And I think that's areas where that's where we take the time and like, is there a better way? Yeah, last time it worked, but is there a better way from last time? I think that's an area that we consistently miss.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Agreed. Okay, so I have one last question for you. So, do you have any resources that you could suggest to our listeners if they want to learn more about design build and why it's important and why our clients should start kind of heading that direction?
Me. Call me.
Love it.
There we go.
No, I mean, I don't. There's a lot of stuff out there. I think a lot of it is fairly dated now, as it relates to kind of the process and the business side of it. So, is there a resource out there? No, I mean, I would. There are some other firms out there that are doing this, and here would be some things I would consider. Does the design builder you're looking for have architects that are local? There are certain firms that do design build work. Their architects are specifically in one location. You can't do good architecture if you don't live, eat, and breathe in the community that you're going to be doing the work in. Right? I think that's a really important thing. I think ultimately the work. Do they have a resume for the work? There is. It's real easy to suggest that we can do it all, but there are certain things we don't have a good resume in, and we need to hire some subject matter experts for that. Those would be some things I would think about. I will say this, and this is not business related. I'm currently reading this book called Outlive by Peter Attia, and it's about like how to live a healthier lifestyle, but being more in tune with health instead of like waiting till you get ill in order to, work yourself. So I'd say in our industry, we work really, really, really hard and work a lot of hours. And there's not a lot of opportunity where we can take time for ourselves. One thing that we've been preaching both in this office and throughout our entire company is spending more time focusing on yourself, because if you're messed up at home, you're gonna be messed up at work. If you're good at home, you're gonna be good at work. So, just I would say if there's a resource that I'm into right now, it's trying to find time that I have for me, so I can be the best person I can be for Beck and for this office.
It's funny you say that. I just did my vitality check, my blood draw this morning. So that's like something that you guys offer that is so cool.
Yeah.
Being able to kind of like see all of my stats and stuff and to see, how my health is, which is a huge perk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just
well, and something,
because, I get it through my husband, but
yeah.
I just got the flu shot last week. I do that to make sure we don't get Kinsley sick. But in general, I just got the flu shot last week.
Smart.
I need to do that. I need to get mine done.
Yeah.
Well,
this was awesome
for a little bit.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our listeners, or anything else you want them to know? You covered it all?
I don't think so. No, if there's one thing I'd say, it's, if you're listening to this and you're in the Colorado community, let's keep building great things. This is a wonderful state. It's a great, people want to be here. People want to live here. I think we should all be really fortunate with the fact that future generations get to see the things that we're currently creating. And that's really special. And I know at times this work can feel really hard, but hard work is really fun too.
Yeah. Love that.
You remember the bad jobs in general, but when you drive by them, you still look at them with awe, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, my first project in Las Vegas, Nevada, it was very difficult. I learned a lot, but I use it in presentations when I'm talking about my history and how I started in the industry, because it was an impact to me. So, we want them to be more fun. We want to improve the industry and find better ways to do things, as you are doing at the Beck Group. But we still remember all of them that we do put up, right? From the smallest to the biggest. So I think there is pride there, and we just want to continue that and continue growing, and getting more people to come and hang out in the industry, right? We're pretty cool people, kind of.
Yeah, I agree. Exactly. I agree.
Well, thanks, Matt. This has been awesome. Thanks for agreeing to talk with us today, and
let's do it again soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think we have a couple other topics we could probably talk about. So
I'm in. Sign me up. I like this.
Yeah, awesome.
And thank you, and seriously, thank you guys for doing this. Like I said, I know it's not part of your day job, but I think that as this grows, I think you'll see the fruits of your labor really benefit, the commercial real estate community. So appreciate what you guys are doing too.